I think we should be live. Let me just post the announcement.
Let's go. We are live indeed. Are we just live on Twitter today, Gosi?
We are live on Twitter, on YouTube,
YouTube.
and Twitch.
Nice, nice. Think platforms. Awesome. Awesome. So I know we're just beginning, guys. Literally just 30 seconds in. But look, if you're just now tuning in, appreciate everyone, once again tuning into another Spellborne stream. And I'm really, really excited once again to tackle yet another honestly topics, slash title that I'm actually really interested in, right? Cults and memes. And this is the type of stuff that I really want to hone in on. But I also want to make sure we really get into a deep dive of everything around Spellborne, all the latest updates, everything around the community, right? So if you're now just tuning in, I hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. But first, let's just check in with Ghosty. Ghosty, what's going on, man? How are we doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. I am very happy with the feedback that we've received. So the team is just, continuing on building out the same things that we've pushed out in the past week. And essentially kind of now working on the bug fixes, and that's the first thing I love. If it's you take feedback and then you build on that same feedback, and when you put out that exact thing that your community asked for, the response is amazing. So that's something we've received over the past week. And yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And this is like a side question already, but like what is the feedback that you have been receiving, Ghosty? And like I would love to explore that.
Yeah. So first of all, the feedback, the requests that our players had were the map was very very small, and the map was small. It got kind of they got bored of it, and they wanted something new. They wanted new locations, they wanted new monsters, they wanted new quests, and that's something we straight away delivered. So we pushed out earlier this week on
Mm,
Tuesday, I think, or yesterday. We pushed out an update for the autumn season, and so the whole game is now in autumn. No summer crops, and no anything that is related to summer. Newer monsters, so we introduced 7 new monsters, two side mutations, one monster variant, so it's a lot of content. And then one new location, and that's what we are trying to going to be following in the future. So we pushed out a lot more side things as well. Like we pushed out a website that contains a roadmap of future things we're working on. It also contains a update log where we'll be pushing out any kind of details regarding the updates in the future, instead of doing it just on Discord, because a lot of players are not on Discord. So
right.
those will also show up in the game directly. But overall, these kind of things we have been pushing out, and the community feedback has been amazing. So uh, there was a few things that the community wanted explanations regarding, as well as they wanted kind of things to be updated, regarding the airdrop, regarding the when season 1 ends, regarding the game containing less content. So we tried to fix all of those, and I think we've done a good job with all the areas, because the feedback from all types of users that were complaining before, it is very very positive. So yeah, that's what this week has been for Spellborn.
Man, this is awesome. This is the type of stuff I love hearing. And like, I'm curious, Ghosty, because you mentioned that a lot of the members aren't in Discord, right? And you said this is you're able to measure this. Where is everyone else coming from? Are they just like, bystanders, not really joining the community, but they are playing the game, right? Where's this other half of this audience?
So a major half is on Facebook. Like
Mm,
a lot of players that are based either in Philippines or are based in Brazil. They primarily use Facebook for communication. They don't use Discord. They participate in Facebook groups. So there are a lot of Facebook groups that are around Spellborn, and they participate in those. So they are participating in the community, but they're not on Discord. That's a separate thing. And for to solve that, we uh, tried to send updates via mail, but it was very, very difficult because our mailing system is kind of built for one-to-one communication instead of mass communication. So we decided to just build a separate website where we'll be pushing out all the update logs and kind of doing smaller amounts of communication as well. But that website also has another feature that is very, very important, which is players or community members can kind of create requests for feature requests, and they can put it out for the public to view, and then the community can vote on it. And then based on those votes, we can kind of prioritize if we want to add that in the game itself or not. So these are the
Right.
things that that platform contains. So it's going to be very, very important. We still haven't kind of communicated it much, but it will play a major role in the future in terms of how players communicate with us, as well as how we communicate with the players.
Right, right. And I feel again, I love the whole voting system because I think that's how you really tap into seeing what your audience needs. Has there ever come a point, Ghosty, where there was like a 50-50 vote, like split in between a yes or no, and how do you go through that? Like, how do you choose which side of the community you want? Like, if it's a 50-50 split decision, how do you know which one's the best choice?
See, it's not about how the community is voting. It's about if it makes sense in the game economy. Like,
Mm,
the
mm,
community can ask for many things that would ruin the game economy, and
right,
we should not include those. But what is important is they want to show, basically, there happens a lot of times when the community asks for something, but they want something else. They don't
right,
know how to
right,
communicate it, or they don't know how it would be possible in the game itself. And that's where the two back and forth communication comes in place. So this platform also has a comment system, so users can reply to it with more ideas regarding how they can improve it, the original idea, and then that original idea we can work on. But
right.
in the end, it's important for community members to not just provide votes but also provide their ideas. And based on those ideas, we kind of try to come up with something that makes sense for the game economy, because most of the times it will not. Like, sometimes community members just ask for example, we had a renting feature planned in earlier on, then we discarded it. But then community members asked for it again and again, and they didn't know how to kind of implement it. They wanted a renting feature for apartments, but they did not know what to do with it or how it would work. Now we're reintroducing it, but in a different manner, where it makes sense for the game economy, and we're introducing it also because the community wants it. So it's
Mm,
it's kind
mm,
of a mix of both things. You do
right.
what the community wants, but you do it in a way where it makes sense for the game economy. It doesn't ruin the game, because they want to see the game succeed, but they also want their own wishes,
Yeah.
which isn't something that you can fulfill all the time.
All the time. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I feel that's something kind of hard to juggle around a lot of times. Um, but look, I would love to kind of hone in on, what are some major critical updates, maybe even just some recent announcements you want to share on behalf of Spellborne. Like, I love what I'm seeing already on the screen, but anything you just want to add to this, go see.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, autumn season is live. This update isn't just us adding autumn season. It's kind of a automated system. So now the game will automatically switch to winter when the time comes. We don't have to do anything. And the dates for those we have kind of already shared slowly. So for example, uh, autumn will be a shorter season this time. Next year it will be a normal 3 month long season, but it will end on 29th or 30th December of this year. And then winter will start, and that will end on 29th or 30th March. Then spring will start for 3 months, then summer for 3 months, and then autumn again. And we don't have to do anything for that. So this is the first major system upgrade for us. And what we're doing is we're just pre-planning all the assets in advance, and we put it in the game system, and then forget about it. That's it. We don't do anything about it. The second thing is this also brings new crops. This also brings new monsters. This also brings like new monsters to previous locations. So the problem players had were, they were bored of this location because it had the same monsters again and again. But now they have to explore the same location with new monsters. So there's a monster armor drill that appears in the whole map of Sunshine Trail that didn't appear before, and it will only appear for autumn. Like it will not appear in any other season inside Sunshine Trail. So that's another feature that we've added is monsters appear in certain locations in certain seasons, and players have to kind of adapt to it. So for example, birds migrate from one location to another, and a lot of players already started complaining about not being able to find a bird in Sunshine Trail. And then they move to Broken Bridge and they realize that all the birds have moved there. So these kind of smaller things players will learn over time, and they'll then kind of realize how in depth this system is. So this is the first thing. This is a very very major update for us because we don't have to do anything about it in the future. And the second thing is we did push out our monthly update. We kind of teased a new location called Isogashi City. I think we talked about it before. And the map for that location is just getting bigger and bigger. So for example, we have seen Yorokubi town. The map for Isogashi is like 5 times bigger than Yorokubi town. The location is huge. It has a lot of things for players to do, and
Wow.
we'll be experimenting a lot of on-chain mechanics there, as well as kind of gacha mechanics in that
Yeah.
location. Like a lot of things for players to do in that area. So that's one more thing. And other than that, our team has just been focusing on finishing up PvP leagues. We did share a few details regarding how PvP leagues will work, so I can talk about that as well later on. But essentially, now what we're doing is we're preparing a lot of content. We are preparing a lot of things in advance, and every single month we'll be adding a new location. So this
Mm.
month we added Broken Bridge. Next month it will be Mondo Swamp. After that it will be Hidden Village, and so on. And what will happen in the end is players get regular content. So every single month they have something new to look forward to. This will happen at the end of every month. So 30th November, you can expect a new location. 30th December, you can expect a new location. And 30th December, you'll also expect a new season. So it's a lot of updates, coming regularly. That's the first thing, because what we want to do is we want to make sure that the game has enough content for the players to be kind of comfortable spending those tokens that they get back into the game. Because
Right.
if we just launch a token directly and the game doesn't have anything to do with it in at that stage, then it's totally useless to do. So that's the first thing we are trying to do. Have enough content, have enough utility on day one whenever the token goes live. And the token launch will then happen somewhere in season 2. We will also be conducting PvP leagues in season 2, so the game will become more and more competitive instead of just being casual.
Mhm.
Players can play it for casual fun, but PvP leagues will be the major token earner for future players.
I love this, man, and we're getting some good questions. Well, I feel like these are actually self-explanatory. So, can we earn tokens from this? This is from a question from the YouTube chat. Yes, yes. Is the new season on already? No, not yet. But we have been getting plenty sneak peeks already, guys. So definitely keep an eye out on that. Um, but Ghosty, something I want to hone in on, and you mentioned like on-chain mechanics, right? Because we always talk about games and like the importance of gameplay, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Especially with off the grid recently, many comments regarding how the importance of making sure the crypto, the blockchain, all these good things are tucked behind the scenes, right? So that being said, I'm curious, Ghosty, on how do you plan in the upcoming season to one, make sure the on-chain mechanics are kind of tucked behind the scene, but they actually impact really highly the overall gameplay experience, right? I was always was curious on how does a dev or a game able to balance both.
So a lot of our on-chain mechanics will come next year.
Mm,
But one major feature or on-chain mechanic that we want to add this year is the guild tokens. And that's basically allowing guilds to create their own game economies inside our single game economy. And a lot of players are slowly realizing that they have multiple roles to play in the game economy. For example, I saw a lot of some players complain about us moving our token rewards for PvP only. Like in the future, you won't be able to just earn tokens by casually playing. You'll have to be good at the game. You'll have to win battles in PvP leagues. But there's other roles to play in the game economy. For example, you can become a master breeder, because breeding is something that is very, very difficult to do. And if you're good at it, you can breed monsters for other players and then charge them for it. You could also hoard crops over seasons. So since seasons are live now, like autumn, winter, summer, so certain crops are only found in certain seasons. So you could basically grow them every single day. You can harvest them every single day and not use them, and then sell them in an off season where they would sell for a higher price. So these are the things that players can, kind of play as different roles in. But guild tokens will take this to another level. If I am a guild creator. So, for example, the first thing, since this is kind of also related to our topic regarding cults and guilds and meme coins and everything, we are also inviting a lot of guilds from multiple games. So, for example, guilds from Raven Quest, guilds from Pixels, guilds from Pirate Nation, and what we are trying to do is, for those guilds to have their own game economy set up in our game, and they can do whatever they want with it. So it's kind of Eve Online type of game economy inside a pixel art nostalgic game. And it is going to be very, very interesting, because when guilds are able to create their own tokens, they have their own emission schedules, they have their own burning mechanics, they have their own token rewards or their own incentives. You can imagine this is very, very similar to how Blast worked. So, for example, on Blast, there were basic incentives for users to use the chain, but there were also incentives on top of that for to use the dApps. For us, the incentives are for players to participate in guilds, because that is the best way for players to interact with each other.
Mm,
And we want to create incentives for them on the baseline as well, but also allow guilds to create incentives on their own. So in the
right.
end, Blast is basically similar to the game. The dApps are very, very similar to the guilds in the game. And for this to be much, much easier as well, we are also adding in apartment renting. What would what happens with that is, apartment holders can rent out their apartments to other players who can create guilds using them.
Mm,
So in turn, those users can pay them in gold nuggets, in tokens, whatever they want, and the owner gets rent. The guild owner is able to create a guild without spending, $2,000 $3,000 on an apartment in the game. So this way, that kind of relation is also solved. But now those guild owners can kind of participate in the game without spending too much, because a lot of guilds don't want to spend too much early on. They can kind of, later on buy an apartment and switch to that instead of
right.
using someone else's apartment. And then they can participate in the guild economy in this way. So that's the first major thing that we want to focus on. And why is that? Because we are working with a lot of platforms related to this as well. For example, there's a platform called GG Quest. They worked with Pirate Nation. They got about 4,000, 5,000 on-chain players,
Wow.
and those players are essentially guilds inside Pirate Nation. What we'll do is we'll invite those guilds to participate in our game, because they have a community. They kind of act as future KOLs. So this is very, very controversial to say, but I don't think content creators will be able to get that many players that guilds can. Like a content creator can create their own guild, they can be the leader, but it's a group that comes into your game. It's not just the content creator creating a post, because that's kind of overused at this point. Like if a content creator is creating a post about your game, it gets some attention, but it doesn't get players. If you want players, you invite a guild to play. They create their own incentives. So for example, you tell them you have a token to create. You can use distribute that token to your players, whoever participates in the game. those players will play the game for the token.
Mm, mm. This is
So
interesting.
this
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, Ghost. I just want to quickly interrupt you, right? Because just to reiterate, the guild will these guild tokens be different from the actual main Spellborn token, or is it along the same thing?
it will be different. So
It will be
it is
different.
something that guild owners can mint on their own. It is something that
Mm,
they can burn on their own. So it's basically launching a token, inside the game itself, like a project inside the game itself. I want to create a NFT project, I can do that. I want to
right.
create a token project, I can do that. It's basically also allowing them to create a cult,
Yeah,
because when you look
yeah.
at the guilds inside Spellborne, so there is SSG, Soul Snatchers Guild, there is Susu Society, and these have already become cults. And you see them as cults as when you play the game, you'll see SSG players, wearing their skin. You'll
Mm,
see Soul Snatchers, you'll see Susu Society players wearing their own skin, and that is very very useful because they kind of show their own identity as a singular,
right.
and that can be a very very good incentive model for players, because when they see active communities inside the game. So for example, when I check out a game, the first thing, if it's a multiplayer game, I check out if it has an active community. What would happen if I see it has multiple active communities inside it?
Right.
It just gets to the next level. It
Yeah.
literally, like, the incentives are doubled, tripled on top of each other, and it's just about using them correctly, and you're able to kind of create your own community, which you can then share to another game, or you could just launch your own collection with it. That's
Hmm.
something a lot of our guilds have been doing. So for example, with Soul Snatchers Guild, they have three skins that will be live in the game instead of just one. And they are using those skins as incentive models. So, for example, when their community members kind of reach milestones, they get a different skin. And
Right.
those skins they can wear, they can kind of, do whatever. But these skins are not that liquid. When we talk about the guild tokens, they will be more liquid, and they will be also present on the dexes and tradable like a normal token. So you
Yeah.
can imagine the possibilities with that.
Would you say your goal here, Ghosty, is like to create like cult like mini groups within Spellborn, and then they kind of become their own flywheel, and then that kind of expands the whole entire ecosystem on its own, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the game can only catch so many players. Like, the game can only
Hmm.
get so many players.
Right.
But if we talk about meme coins, if we talk about cults, they can get users that are not even players, but they'll still participate in the economy.
Mm,
Because
mm,
what I want is not just players, I want traders, I want, PFE users. So, for example, if they don't rep a collection that is built by our team, they rep a collection that is built by a sub guild inside the game.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
wear a Susu Society or a SSD skin PFP on Twitter and they show it off. And that's something we want to do. Like, what we want to focus on is create cults inside the game itself, because those cults then have the potential, different growth rates, different reach, to different kinds of players, because we can only do so much.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
could create a platform for them to reach to the masses, and I think that has a better chance of success than us doing everything. Like, this is something that we've taken from the community, is that we could have built our own docs page. We could have built our own wiki page, but instead the community built it, and it's much much better than we could have done. It's much, the bot that
Yeah.
they created, it's much much better than what we could have done. So the marketing, that what we can do, we will do, but the marketing that they can do is much much better than what we can do.
Right. I love this, man. This is honestly like I can take away a lot of this just for even your traditional, NFT project, not even a gaming project. But this is the type of stuff that's really valuable. And we're getting comments here. Someone said, "Man, Ghosty is smart as fuck." That's very true, man. Look, I wanna extend this because one, I know maybe on today's stream, Ghosty, I don't know if you have plans to showcase a little bit more of the gameplay here, or if honestly anything that we have going on the screen. But again, just thanks for educating us a little bit here and there. Do you think there is a chance though, Gosi, for other gaming projects to kind of replicate the system that you're describing today? And do you think like there's a massive gap between those that aren't executing stuff like this versus those that are? You know, would love to hear your thoughts on that.
So it is very complex to implement. Like,
Mm,
this is something that we designed over 10 months or
right.
11 months, I would say easily. Like, this is something that we've been working on for over a year. And when we designed this in, we had to take in multiple factors. So first of all, the game would have need to be live for us to see what is the demand for guilds. And when we saw that, existing guilds are all like guilds are already popping up before the feature is live, players are kind of, collectively uh, building themselves out in terms of guilds. So if you see a SSG player, they have SSG to their name tag. If you see, for example, a Brazilian guild player or a Philippines guild player, you see their, the guild name attached to the names.
Right.
So it is, very very important that the kind of culture that is required for
Mhm.
these, communities to pop up, it already exists. That needs to be there. And for us, we did not build it. We actually, I'll be frank that we did not build any of this.
Mm,
It's the community taking incentive because they love the game. So
yeah.
first of all, you need a good product.
Yeah.
It's something that, that players could just get addicted to, even though they're not playing every single day. It's something that, for example, if I love a game and I don't play it every day, I can still, it should be something that I can just pop on a random day and play
True.
for 3 4 hours straight away, and then not play it again for another week. And guilds play a major role in this, because now all of a sudden I have many friends. Because
Yeah.
this is also something that we've discussed, on spaces many times. Like, if we remember a game, we remember it from the friends that we make. And for us, guilds can be very have a very very huge potential for players to make new friends. As certain guilds are very very specific to location, certain guilds are very very specific to ideals, certain guilds are specific to, certain in-game mechanics. So for example, some guilds could just focus on farming, some guilds could focus on, getting the best players in PvP. Some guilds are just focusing on Philippine based players, some guilds are focusing on Brazil based players, Thailand based players. We're also in, getting a lot of these kind of regional guilds inside our game. And the system for the guilds to have their own guild economy is very very difficult to implement, because first of all, you need the culture, secondly, you need a lot of data for existing guilds. We have that data because, we already have like 5 or 6 guilds that already have 50 plus 100 plus members. And then you need to test it out internally, and it needs a lot of testing because it can ruin your game economy.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
for example, and it could easily flop. Like, this idea could easily flop if we talk about the worst case scenario. What happens is guilds don't know what to do with their token. They just mint out the token, the guild kind of sets itself towards a downfall, because now the players don't have anything to do in the game itself. So that can be an issue. But in the end, it comes back to the culture that is already cultivated in the game. If there is a culture already present where guilds are willing to be creative, they're willing to implement or, kind of test out new things, and the developer is providing them those resources to test out those things, then it's a perfect scenario. And that's the current state of Spellborne. Like, guilds
Yeah.
are trying out new things, we are providing them resources. What we are saying is, you can have everything. You can have skins, you can have ERC 20 tokens, you can have ERC 721 tokens, you can have ERC 1155 tokens. And it's up to you, whatever you want to do. In the end,
Right.
if you want to get tokens, our token, you need to get the best players. For that, you need to have, a good guild or something like that. Or even you could just create a group of friends that participates together. But it's very, very important that you build out a culture related to this. And for many games, that culture is not present, and it won't be present because mostly, many games are not good. Many games try to kind of overreach in terms of what they can build. So, for example, certain games, are not meant to for these kind of things. Like for example, shooter games can't do this, but MMORPG style games can, but it depends upon their game economy. Very,
Mm,
very, it's very, very specific. But I do know of two projects that are implementing something similar, like not exactly similar. It's 20% same, and I am very closely looking at, like, our team is very, very closely looking at those things, because those are different ideas for them to implement. Those are different things for them to implement. And what we do is we test out things. If it doesn't work, we try out, change things there. And that's the best thing about our team. Like, we push out updates very, very regularly. If it is not working, we'll push an update tomorrow. We fix this. Try it now out now. If you like it, tell us. If you don't, we'll switch it again. We'll try
right.
something new. And that's how, kind of MMORPGs thrive. If your game is not actively pushing out new features, new content, then, this is also something that won't be able to strive in your game economy.
Yeah. And first of all, man, Ghost, I feel like I'm a sponge right now. I'm just absorbing. I'm actually like taking mental notes as you're speaking here. Ghost, I hosted a space today, and I want to bring it up with you because I want to hear your take on this. Is like we're so like tokens are such a like it's such a huge component of what I feel the way that crypto is just even like received and the way that we want to involve people in the ecosystem, right? Is I feel like a lot of things are very token focused, right? Now, my question is, and what we talked about in the space is, do you think there's like a narrative that needs to be built around the token in order for it to perform well, or can it be like solely built from the product alone, aka the game, right? Like I'm curious on, how can tokens perform well and achieve sustainability over time?
So this market currently, you can't, like, the token cannot thrive even if the product is good. The token
Mm,
itself is a product,
mm,
and
mm,
it's something that the team puts a lot of resources into.
mm.
And if they don't, then the token doesn't succeed at all, first of all. The second thing is, if you're building out a good product and you assume that your token will succeed, then that assumption is the first thing where you're wrong. You can't
Yeah,
assume
yeah,
something, in an economy where trading is available,
yeah.
because it's an open market. So that's the first two things. Then, if you want your token to succeed, you focus on the token solely. You build out the game side by side, but you
Hmm.
focus on how it works and what narrative it has. You can't try to run with an existing narrative. It may not work 100% of the times because narratives come and go.
Yeah, yeah,
The token itself, it needs to have a minimum amount of utility for it to maintain a minimum amount of price in the game economy. For example, if it doesn't have any use case, it has a narrative. For example, I built out a 3D game, but the game doesn't use the token yet, and I say the token has a AI narrative, for example, and those AI things don't use the token yet, but it's an AI token. It has the narrative.
right.
The traders are trading it. They are trading it. They're pumping the price. Once the AI narrative ends, what will you do? So it's very, very important that on the baseline your game has token utility. It's a minimum, but then on top of it you have to treat the token as a separate product. If you
Mm,
don't, then it won't succeed at all. You
mm,
need to put in resources, you need to put in time, you need to put in communication regarding how it works, what it is for, and if it is even usable in the game itself. Like, for a lot of games, they have active tokens, but those tokens are not usable at all in the games. Why would someone buy them?
true.
And There are all different type of buyers. So first of all, when we talk about the game having utility, those players will not pump your price. Those are the players that will buy the token and use it in the game, and that's it. They're done with it. They won't hold it. They're not holding it for price appreciation. They're holding it for being able to use it in the game because they are a player. And that's something a lot of games confuse about have a confusion about, is that they think that players will pump their price up. You can have 100,000 players, but your token won't pump if you don't have enough traders or liquidity. You can
Right.
those players will buy the token, they'll spend it, and that's it. They won't provide any liquidity, they won't pump up the price. It's what the traders do, it's what the speculators do. So you have to feed into them as well, and that's why token becomes a product of its own, because it has separate marketing, it has separate utility, it has separate communication
Hmm.
regarding because when we talk about the token, you're communicating to speculators. When we talk about
Exactly.
the game, you're communicating to gamers. It's
Exactly.
a different audience, and you can't merge both.
Exactly. And it's funny because that's exactly what someone said on as a response to my question earlier today was like tokens are just all speculative assets, and you have to be able to figure out what type of speculation or narrative do you want to create around the token. But you answered that really well, and it makes a lot of sense. I'm curious though, right, Ghosty, is there a lane though, right? Maybe in the near future, especially as like the gaming, blockchain gaming in general continues to evolve, right? Do you think that we'll reach a place where games can't exist without tokens, right? Like, are tokens going to be embedded in almost every game that comes from crypto?
That may or may not be true.
Hmm.
So a lot of games don't need a token. They just don't. And when we say token, we are talking about ERC20. They
Hmm.
need ERC 721. They need ERC 1155, but they might not need ERC 20. ERC 20 is something that you kind of substitute as a hard token and a soft token inside your game economy. It's something that is, kind of provides a layer for the players to interact with your game's economy. And it is useful in many cases. It's kind of based on the idea that a lot of Web2 mobile games used. So, for example, when you buy something on a mobile game, for example, if you buy something in Clash Royale, you're
Yeah.
not buying the chest directly. You're buying their gems, and then you use those gems to buy the chest. It provides a separate layer of liquidity, and the player then isn't able to directly convert the price of the chest to real world prices. And that kind of allows game developers to make the player spend more without even realizing.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
beneficial for game developers to generate revenue, but it is, when we convert that idea to token, it can hit back you on the head, because now the players have control over the price.
Right.
Now that price is regulating you, you're not regulating the price.
True. True.
So it is something that is only beneficial for certain type of games. If we talk about ERC 721, ERC 1155, 100%, that should be present in every single game in the future, because it makes a lot of sense. On chain data is something that is very, very important in the short term, in the long term, and it will be very, very usable in future in terms of marketing, as Google and Apple kind of close down their places in terms of the data that they're able to provide to advertisers, because this data is very, very beneficial for future projects. For example, if I look at if I'm launching a NFT project, or if I'm launching a game and I'm launching a farming simulator. Now I need to find my audience. What will I do? I look at
Hmm.
existing games, right? I look at those games, and there's no, like in Web2, there's no current way for me to directly reach out to them. But in Web3, if they have played a farming game, if they have played a, kind of a similar cozy title
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
has on chain data, then I can use that on chain data to target them.
Right.
That's the exact reason why I am bullish on on-chain data. So I would say, in the future, all crypto games will have on-chain data. They might not have a token.
Hmm. Hmm. And you see, this is like where it gets interesting because I feel like this on chain, and it's funny, Ghost. I feel like you were there at this space, but then you weren't because a lot of these things you're saying today is like the stuff that we mentioned. This on chain data, right? This is what I feel is the strongest piece of information that almost any, whether you're a gaming project or not, this is like the strongest piece of information you can have, right? But with this information, like, and it kind of ties back into what I asked you in the beginning of today's stream, where it's like, how do you take feedback, right? And in a sense, I look at this on-chain data as a way of like, you really get to measure the specific fine details of what is this user doing, what does the actual data say, right? And that stuff is very important. But with that being said, is this information enough though to scale a product, to scale an ecosystem? Or, right, is this just a matter of let's just gather the data, gather the information, let's go back to the drawing board, create something with this, and then you present something entirely new or a refined model of, such X product, perhaps, like what's your thought process when it comes to that?
So I would give an example of Sushi Swap here.
Mm.
Uh, it took the community of Uniswap, it took the idea of Uniswap, and kind of implemented their own smaller versions on top of it. They're
Mhm.
not that successful now because of their failures, but initially, what they did was industry changing. What they did was, they took the data of users that were using Uniswap, and they told them, you transfer liquidity to our DEX instead of Uniswap, and you'll get these extra benefits and everything. And the data being on chain was the only reason they were able to do that. If it
Mm.
was private, if it was on a private DB, that it wouldn't be something that they would be able to access. So it allows for new competition to pop up, which will in turn kind of improve the industry as overall. Because right now, if you look at gaming in web 2, the last 10 the last 5 FIFA games, exactly same. The last 5 Call of Duty games, almost exactly same. The last 5 Assassin's Creed games, almost exactly same.
Yeah.
There's not enough competition.
Yeah.
And there's not enough competition because if someone is building out a new game, they don't have the funds to target that massive audience to be successful. They don't have the data, they don't have access to those users. And if I am able to access those users, now my only concern is about building out a good game.
Right. Right. Right.
So
And
it fixes a lot of problems there.
yeah, yeah. Sorry to interrupt again, Ghosty, because this is again where I think a lot of teams get like this chokehold is like they're constantly like, and again, I can't think of like specific examples, but since I host so many spaces, I just remember conversations. I remember, I forgot who it was, but they mentioned that at a certain point of like growing the community and growing like the product, the raising awareness around the game, their biggest chokehold was just getting people interested enough in the product itself. So again, I don't want to backtrack this conversation because I know you talked about it just moments before, but this is why you emphasize so much like the product needs to be of quality, the product itself needs to be good, because if you can't generate just positive feedback by that alone, then everything else that we talked about from a token incentive, all these things, right, none of this would ever, it doesn't matter because the product itself sucks, right? So again, I think I'm just trying to reiterate what you're saying right now, but yeah, if you want to continue, please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, see, you can build out a good product, but for it to succeed, you need to reach out the audience.
Hmm.
If you have a bad product, you'll reach out the audience, it will die.
Yeah.
And if so the topic about being able to make players interested in your game, it's the easiest answer is to get players playing the game directly.
Right.
Like
Right.
if you want, I'm just reading the comments,
The
it's so
comments.
funny. uh, but if we talk about how to make players interested in the game, you need to have players playing the game already.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if in this day and age, so for example, if we talk about 2000s, how players played the games were demos. You get a 30-minute demo, you try out the game, and then you buy it. Now what happens is, now I don't have to download it, I'll see someone else playing it.
Mm,
So it is a very very kind of a circular loop where you need players to get more players. And someone might think that that's kind of confusing, that's kind of out of the point, but it's not. Like if I am a player and I see someone playing the game and I see them having fun, I will like to play that game.
yeah,
And if I don't see them having fun, I will not play that game. If I don't see anyone playing the game, I'll be thinking this game is dead. It's literally the same thing that token holders talk about. Like if I go into someone's Telegram or some project's Telegram or some project's Discord and I don't see any conversation there, I'll think the project is dead. I won't be
yeah,
interested in buying that token. But if I see the community is very very active, if I see there are a lot of people there, I'll suddenly want to join that community, and I'll be interested in that. So that problem doesn't exist if you are able to reach out to that smaller group of players, because those players, as always, it's your first 20 players, it's your first 1000 players that are your best marketers. It's
yeah.
because they can build out products about your game because they're addicted. They can build out. So for example, for us, it was Spellborne wiki. It was there's another Nutdix. It's very funny. And then so it's about the community building out guilds as well. So it's the first 1000 players for us that build out those guilds that are that have hundreds plus members. And it's the first 1000 players for us that built out the community wiki. Because now if someone comes into the game, they see existing guilds, guilds having hundreds of members, and those discords having their own conversations, like players checking in daily, they're talking to each other, making friends. And if someone sees that, plus they see a guide that is created by the community and not by the team, so they see the community putting efforts, they'll be much much more interested in the game rather than the game itself building out a very very professional looking wiki. Like the
Mm, mm,
better selling point is the community interaction rather than the product itself.
mm, mm. Man, these these comments are like, suddenly ghosty very high IQ. This is ghosty every day, guys. I hope you know that. But yes, the whole ghosty can even sell me a used tissue comment. That's hilarious. Man, so much just knowledge I feel just being thrown my way, and this is the type of stuff I love getting into. And I even realized, man, we are getting into like the last 10 minutes of today's stream, but first of all, Ghosty, I feel like, this is a conversation I just want to have with you for hours and hours and hours and hours. But, I'll put a pause here. I'll put a pivot here because this is, I feel, a good checkpoint for us to kind of just showcase, again, anything regarding. I know this isn't season two sneak peeks. I miss those streams though, Ghost. I would love to get a stream like that in the near future. But with what we're seeing on the screen, as far as this goes, is there anything along the lines that you just want to highlight? You want to talk about anything you just want to preview for the audience that's watching today?
So a lot of things that the stream that we had previously, that you mentioned, that was very interesting about the sneak peeks. Uh, it's it was possible because those features were being worked on for months.
Mm,
So
mm,
there are a few features that we are working on for the past few months, and we will be able to share a sneak peek about them maybe next month, or maybe in the next stream. And if we talk about what's next for in terms of things I want to highlight right now, so there's a few things. The first thing is uh, talk about achievements.
ooh,
So there will be very very different achievements. It's something for players that are kind of done with the basic style of gameplay. Now they're looking for a new limit to reach.
yeah.
So the limit could be maybe finding a enchanted monster, or maybe releasing 100 monsters into the wild, or maybe finishing off a counted amount of battles in a single hit, or maybe finishing off a battle without even attacking the wild monster. Like right now they're just attacking the monster to defeat them, but what if I say you can defeat the monster without even attacking them? You can win the battle without even making a single attacking move. So those kind of smaller restrictions, it's very very common in Pokemon fan made games, where they put restrictions on themselves. And what will happen is, so this isn't a feature complete screen, that this is a very very early preview. But what will happen is players will be able to complete these. They will be able to show them off like they do on Steam. So they'll be able to show their achievements in their profile, and the profile will get a overhaul where you'll be able to show your best monsters. You'll be able to show your best achievements, and this way other players can find how much you have progressed in the game. So that's the first thing.
Right.
uh, then the second thing is a lot of QoL updates. So let me see if I can find that UI. But wait, it should be on GitHub. Give me a second.
No worries.
But overall, this the other things are QoL related. So for example, if I win a battle with someone, I want to know which monsters of mine performed good, which of them didn't, which of them didn't make sense. And for that, we are doing a lot of things. The first thing being a UI after the battle ends. So it is okay. I found it once again. Right. So what happens is, when the battle ends and I am playing with someone, it
Mm,
will show me which of my monsters, so which monster shined, how many turns it took, how long the battle was. It also will show me the monsters that the other player had, and it will allow me to even send them a friend request if they are not my friend already. And then it will also show me the rewards that I got from the PvP side, like the
right. Right.
elo rating and the PvP rewards. And essentially the main focus is making things that are social more social, because right now if we look at the chat box, it's very clunky. Not a lot of players use that. We have like 10x more players than the players that are currently using the chat box, and we want more players to use it. The second thing is, we want players to be able to send friend requests a lot more often. So
Mhm.
if someone battles against someone else and they're not a friend, we want them to be friends. We want them to battle again at a later stage. Maybe a friendly battle works, but we want them to interact more, because at the end of the day, we want them to make friends,
Yeah.
newer
Yeah.
friends. And if they remember those friends, if I have a friend in a game, I will check out the game just because I want to interact with him. So that's the main focus for us in the future. Like in the next 2 months, we will be very very focused on adding these QoL updates, along with our social features like PvP leagues and guilds, as well as content updates as promised. So every single month, one new location, at least 5 to 6 different quest lines, at least 7 to 8 different monsters, because the community seems to love it. Based on so the community asked for it specifically, like I mentioned, right? We did a survey, we got 99% saying they want more content. We pushed out more content, and it's one of the most positive announcements for us in the past 2 months.
Mm,
So even with us sneaking sharing PvP related things, that didn't get that much positive feedback. It's the what the community wanted, and they got it, and they're happy about it. So that's what we are focusing on. uh, QoL updates regarding making the game more social, because once it is more social, the players that are already interacting with each other, they will be willing to interact more and check into the game more, because sometimes what happens is they play the game once a week. Now what if I want them to play twice a week and maybe 3 times a week?
right.
For that to
Right.
happen, they need to have friends inside the game, and those friends should not be in other games as well. So it needs to be something, it needs to be a way where they are able to access all the players inside the game,
Right.
instead of being limited to the players that are around them.
And Gosu, first of all, the one of the achievements is said "So long, Felicia." I love that one. That's probably my favorite one. With these achievements, though, with these rewards, are they able to spend these on anything? Like what does that look like?
So you will see one of my favorite achievements.
I'm dead. Can I play that? I lose a battle. Oh my
So
gosh.
these will be very very weird. Like we will add a lot of achievements like this. They will be very very funny. They will be very very, you know, different. So for example, if you
Yeah,
look at the
yeah.
diplomat achievement, that's something I was talking about. You know, you win a battle only using status moves. Status moves do not do
Mm.
any damage.
Uh-huh,
They do
uh-huh.
not do any damage. We want the monster to, lose on its own. You want to confuse the monster, you want to do something to it, but you can't attack. And
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't attack, you can get this achievement. And this is something that players would love to show off, because when you look at these kind of things, I- if I see this on someone's profile, I'll think that they're crazy. I'll be so open to be friends with them, because I know they're crazy. They know how to have fun, and that's the best thing about it. So
Yeah.
we want these achievements to be shareable in many terms, and this is a data that will be available to guilds. So first of all, so guilds can use this data, in terms
Mm,
of achievements.
mm,
External projects can use this data, as well as this, because these will be kind of non-transferable tokens. So you can't transfer them. These are, non-transferable ERCs 1155 tokens. And that's the best thing about on-chain data. We will allow guilds to do whatever they want, and these are the things that players enjoy the most in these kind of games. This is something that is very very popular on Twitch. So for example, someone could do a stream about, winning the diplomat achievement, and they stay on stream for maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, and that stream is just about that single achievement, achieving that, getting that achievement. And it will be very very interesting to see, because how can someone win 25 battles without even attacking even
yeah.
once? So it's these kind of restrictions that make the game fun. Like you can play the game on its normal pace if you're not, kind of a crazy person. But if you are done with the normal ways and you are looking for newer adventures, this is it. Like achievements will be very very fun for players, and they will be shareable. They will also carry different kinds of rewards. So certain achievements can get you rare items. Certain achievements can get you even a free monster.
Mm,
For example, if I lose enough battles, so in the Can I Play Daddy achievement, you'll get a monster that has a innate of, maybe, like 2 stats of higher innate, maybe 50 plus innate. So that is a very very rare monster to find in the wild. So these kind of, rewards make it more fun, make it more kind of interactive. That's our basic target.
dude, I would be flexing that can I play daddy achievement out of all of these. Oh my gosh. That's so true though, Ghosty. People love flexing their achievements, and even if it's the most stupidest thing achieved or the craziest thing achieved, that definitely creates an open environment. Look, I excuse my throat. I really generally enjoyed today's conversation. Lots of insight, lots of knowledge, but on top of this, lots of entertainment. Oh my gosh, I can't, can I play daddy? That's so good. By the way, I know there's a lot of people in chat right now. For anyone who was able to achieve this first, please get in my DMs and share me a screenshot. I want to see it. But look, Osi, we are at the top of the hour. I feel like every single time I bombard you with so many questions, yet you answer them with such an open mind, and I appreciate that every time. Um, Last thing, I know I just asked it minutes ago, but anything else before we look to wrap up on today's stream? Any alpha, any announcements? Go ahead.
Yeah, I will just, kind of repeat what is mentioned in our latest update log, because it is a lot.
Mhm.
And I assume none of the players read it. Like I can see about 10 people who subscribed to it, about I think 300 unique viewers. So I don't see that many people read it. But anyway, so the Stellar Pass ends on 1st of November. Soul Exchange ends on 3rd of November. So if you want to get these monsters, make sure to get them before 3rd. Once the event ends, they won't be available ever
Mm,
unless, the project reaches out to us to create a special event. But otherwise, they're not going to be present in the game at all. They will become very, very rare. And the two bundles, Dragon Lights bundle and One Step Ahead bundle, they are both ending on 5th and 10th of November. And in terms of what's next, so Apartments Taking is coming soon in November,
mm,
as well as PvP leagues are also coming in November with season 2. So whenever PvP leagues are ready, we'll just announce in one week in advance that season 1 is ending and season 2 starts. Because with PvP leagues, we are moving towards more challenging type of gameplay instead of
right,
just being casual. Now we
right,
want challengers. Now we want players to stream the game. We want them to kind of do a run, maybe reaching 300 elo in a stream, maybe reaching 500 elo in a stream. That's something we want them to do. We want to
right.
focus a lot on streaming, so that's our main focus. If there are any content creators that are interested in doing that, they can reach out to us. We will provide you a special account where you can do this from scratch. It will have certain benefits to it, kind of like infinite amount of gold nuggets and so on. You won't be able to trade them, so that account won't be able to trade anything at all, but it will be very good for streaming because
Mm,
you need these strings. You don't want to run out during a stream.
makes
So
sense.
if you are a content creator that wants to stream the game and wants to kind of create content around the game on any social media, reach out to us. We will provide you a special account. You will be able to play on your normal account as always, but this special account will have no tradability, no airdrop, nothing like that. It is something that is just for streaming purposes only. And yeah, the basically we are trying to make the game more social, more exciting. So in the coming 2 months, you'll expect a lot of things. And once the game economy is ready, once we feel the game economy is ready, token will go live then. This it also brings a lot more things, so such as token staking, marketplaces. All your monsters become tradable, all your items become tradable, all your skins become tradable. So a lot of changes come with the token itself. But that will only happen once the game economy is ready. So play out the
Yeah.
game, give us feedback. Let's make sure that the game is picture perfect once the token itself. And if once it is, we will push out a lot more content because our team is sitting on 6 months of content in advance.
Dude, man, so much, so much. I was always look forward to. Look, I hope everyone here in the chat audience, thank you guys for one watching and listening to both Ghosty and I, have a conversation today. And look, there's so much more to come out, guys. So literally, I feel this is just the very, 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 very early stages of the potential of what has already been showed, but more to come, obviously, from Spellborne. But look, with that being said, guys, thank you to everyone here in the audience today for watching today's stream. If you enjoyed it, like myself, I believe we hit around 452 views on today's stream. So not that bad, and I love streams. I think streaming is probably a little bit more genuine and interactable with the audience. So that being said, if you guys aren't already following Spellborn account, please go ahead and do so. Follow Ghosty as well. Shoot your boy a follow as well if you want to support me. And look, with that being said, I wish everyone here a fantastic rest of their day, night, afternoon, evening, whatever. And we will see you guys in the next one. All right. Have a good one, guys. See ya.